tree. Good morning, everybody. I'm just adjusting my view. Welcome to the last live of 2022, Sunday Live. Good morning, Scarred Al. It's wonderful to see you. I'm just going to adjust my position for a real quick second. Bear with me, because I love my tree so much. Brings me great joy to gaze upon it in the evening. Oh, yeah, maybe I need to do this. How's that? All right, that's better. Okay, welcome, everybody. Thank you so much. Okay, so let me just I want to talk about a couple things real quick, sort of business things. Okay, so this is going to be the last Sunday Live of 2022. Next Sunday is Christmas. And then, of course, New Year's follows the week thereafter. So we'll be back live on January 8th, 2023. I will be posting videos for each week. So you will not miss your Angelscopes. You will still have them, so be sure to check for them. I've also done monthly videos for each sign for January 2023. And I have done a Jupiter re-entering Aries video. So I hope you'll check those out. I will also be doing a Mercury retrograde video coming up. And I've got another one on my list. I can't remember quite what it is. But let's talk about this week, because I wanted to, in my meditation this morning, I was kind of guided to talk a little bit about retrogrades, because I've experienced something rather interesting. When a planet is going through a sign, and let's just take Mars, for instance, going through Gemini. When it was originally moving forward, certain things transpired within my life, within my community, within my thought process. You know, Gemini kind of rules that everyday thought. And as situations present themselves, that's kind of how I was seeing it, is that when a planet is moving forward and a retrograde is coming, a situation will be presented that will allow your soul an opportunity to make a choice. Some people might call that karma. I call it an opportunity and a point of attraction. So then sometimes we have our initial reaction to things. I've had a Pluto square for quite some time. And when Pluto started squaring my sun and my ascendant, I had reactions to things. Then as it went retrograde, I started to realize that whether I was right or wrong in the situation, how was I showing up? You know, how was I presenting myself? So I got an opportunity to review the situation. And then when the planet moves forward again is where the potential reward comes in, where the opportunity to reap the benefits of any disruption, any challenges, any sometimes a retrograde will bring the ending of something. And so if something has come to an end, then maybe it's really not about the ending as much as about the new beginning, because I think this is super important. So we have Chiron this week at 11 degrees Aries, beginning to move forward again in Aries. And in no short time, over the next few months, Jupiter will catch up to Chiron, and this will bring an opportunity for a gift within the wound, for a revealing of wisdom, of how a challenge actually propelled you, let you know how tenacious you are, gave you an opportunity to see the power you have with your own focus, and with your own intentions, because this is in the sign of Aries. So hello, Lucy Rose. Hi, Stephen. Did I miss him? Hi, Stacy. Welcome to the room. Let's just do this. Okay. So I forgot about one other thing I wanted to announce. Well, I think I'll just announce it now in the middle of my conversation. On Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, I am doing a live, and it's all about you. your questions, what you want to know from spirit. And if you want to email me a question, I will address it directly on this live. At first, I thought this should be a live where we talk about really more broad thoughts, very Jupiterian. And yet at the same time, in my meditation, spirit said, do not edit the questions. Let them come through as they do, no matter how it appears to you, whether mundane or broad and philosophical, just address the questions. So some people have already submitted the questions. You have until the 21st to submit those questions, and then I will, given enough time, address all of them. So please go ahead and do that. My email is in the description below. Okay. So sorry about that. I've got the South Node on my Mercury, so I'm not exactly the most organized I've been in my lifetime right now. I'm still, it's not a product of age. It's just a product of transit. Okay. The other thing we have going on is Jupiter will re-enter Aries on the 20th. So we're preparing for that. And now Jupiter is at the anaretic degree, the 29th degree, mastering the Piscean energy, a real taking of leadership. That 29th degree is Leo. And that leadership for me is not always about directing other people, but rather looking at my wants, my desires, what I want to birth into the universe, and how giving myself permission to do that is actually being of the greatest service to others, because it inspires them for the same thing. To have the same opportunity. So I think that's really pretty cool. And then the other thing I want to talk about that I think it's not quite happening just yet, but we're teeing up for it. And I feel like being prepared a little bit will give us, present more opportunities than obstacles. So here we have Venus and Mercury have entered Capricorn, and they're heading towards Pluto. Mercury will get to 24 degrees Capricorn before it will go retrograde on the 29th. And I will be doing a separate video for the Mercury retrograde. But I want to offer it this way because Venus is going to continue to journey forward. And I don't know if Venus is looking forward to the conversation she's going to be having with Pluto so intensely, because I think Pluto is really starting to ask, where are your fears gripping you? Where is your everyday mind basing the possibilities on what you can see with your physical eyeballs versus what you can feel within your inner knowing? This is something that's been a really strong theme for me, as Pluto's been squaring my some very significant parts of my chart, namely my ascendant, my sun, and my Mars. And I think Pluto and Mars work cooperatively because they both rule Scorpio. So while they can be super intense and in some ways aggressive, it's about getting down to the deeper truth and being brave about your own psychological imprint in this lifetime and how far you're going to drag it into your future. And I'm done with that nonsense. And I want to offer this as well, because Saturn's been going over my personal Chiron in Aquarius. And I feel as if this is what inspired me about my own retrograde observation, because when Saturn got over my Chiron, I got to tell you, I felt like I was walking around with a cement blanket on my shoulders. I was feeling very wondering if I was presenting any value. There were some disruptive things that happened, out in the outside world. And then Chiron retrograded and stepped off of my Chiron. Thank you very much. Relief came. But it also made me want to review where my fears lied, where I could potentially liberate myself. Because again, I don't believe that Saturn points at you and says, I'm going to make you depressed. I'm going to make you work hard at something you don't like. I think Saturn doesn't care whether you like it or not. It just wants you to pick a lane that, and once you pick it, be committed to it, be disciplined at it, be tenacious at it. So it's super important for the human to pick a lane that is passionate to them, which is why Chiron in Aries and Jupiter, going back into Aries is so powerful right now, because it's the wound of the self. And Jupiter gives us an opportunity to expand beyond that wound and turn it into wisdom that becomes the gift. Now, then as Saturn now is moving direct, it is sitting literally 1 degree away from my Chiron, and I am experiencing it in such a different way, in a much more uplifting way. I almost feel like the combination of my 11th house being Aquarius, an Upachaya house, a house that brings monetary reward, and my willingness to be brave at looking at where I'm participating in that feeling depressed or feeling not valuable. You know, I meditate a lot, and some of my meditations are about receiving information. Some of my meditations feel like conversations. And this thing about value has been coming up over and over again. Like, people, I've had situations where I'm older now, and I don't know if you guys remember, but back in the summertime, I was doing a webinar sitting in my apartment, and all of a sudden there was a pounding on the door. And I went to the door, the police were there, and they were looking for another person, not me. But the cop said to me, "Is there another elderly woman in the building?" And I almost dropped to the floor. I'm like, who the hell's the elderly woman? And then I realized it's me. And this triggered me because I was sitting in my apartment minding my own business, and the law of attraction brought in something that illuminated where I did not feel valuable, where I had fears. Now, bear with me for a second, because Saturn going through Aquarius for everybody is giving us an opportunity to see where we are holding ourselves back through our fears, and we have an opportunity to liberate ourselves and be rewarded. At the same time, as Mercury and Venus move through Capricorn, both of them having to examine the structures of their lives, both having to examine where they value themselves. What is my mind focusing in on? Am I caught up in the everyday BS that's going on, or am I willing to be a little bit more brave? Because, both, Venus doesn't really want to have an intense conversation with Pluto. It's a little scary because Pluto doesn't seem to care whether or not she feels good about the conversation. And Mercury and Pluto, to me, don't really mesh, because Mercury's like, hey, let's just get a little bit of information and move on. And Pluto's like, whoa, dude, you need to dig deeper into that, man. You need to look at that, because that's what's really tripping you up. And you're just zipping around the zodiac and you're not paying attention to it. So here we go. At the 24th degree is the Piscean degree, spiritual degree, the house of self undoing, the house of troubles. So I really think that Pluto is in some ways intentionally taking these two planets and asking them to dig deeper into what they really want. And as Venus moves into Aquarius, she has an opportunity to liberate herself from those fears and to express herself in a much more authentic and, reaching for her hopes and dreams. Then we have Mercury, who's going to go back through Capricorn and really think about like the structure of my fears. Have I allowed my fears to run amok, where every time I project into the future, all I'm looking at are the potholes, the obstacles, the speed bumps? And this is where I think most people think Pluto is rough, because Pluto is about death, the death of obstacles, the death of human structures that are fear-based, that pretend to be security and they're not. So I think Pluto is your friend. I know it's not a fun friend at first, but when you get the rhythm of and the willingness to be a co-creator and dig deeper into the psychological dynamics of where you make your choices, everything gets to open up for you. And it's where you see the roller coaster ride being less nauseating and more fun. You can put your hands up and go, wee, this isn't so bad. All right. So that's what I want to say about what's coming up. And I know it seems a little, how do I want to phrase it? I don't know if it's always so much fun to look at our fears, but I also believe that fears represent false evidence appearing real. And one of my clients said, fear, face everything and rise. And this is where I feel like Saturn moving forward in Aquarius is now really giving you an opportunity to implement new structures in your mind, in your thinking process, that what if thought, that, well, that was then, what if now it's just a little bit different? Okay, here we go. All right, we will start with our Sagittariuses and work our way around the zodiac. And I was thinking about this too, how funny Capricorn season would be the 2 weeks I take off, right? So they would not get to go first, but they'll still get to go first. So look for that. And be patient with me when it comes to the timestamps when I'm doing it all by myself. All right, small wildflowers, where are you today, girl? Sending love to you wherever you are. Hey, Lucy Rose. Hi, Natalia. Hi, Jules. I said hi to Stephen. Okay. All right, everybody. Here we go. Let's start with our tarot card for our Sagittarius, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Ooh, the sun is shining. Good morning, Stacy Brown. Okay. So, Stacy, I wouldn't mind, I hope that you would maybe submit a question to me for the live on Friday, because I'd love to do a spread for you on that very scenario, see what's happening. Because I'll tell you, my life got much better once I turned 50. And by the time I was 54, 55, I was getting super brave. Okay. Sagittarius, this is the sun. The sun, obviously represents good things. Everything grows in the sun. It rules Leo. It rules fun. It rules entertainment and hobbies. And I feel as if this little child on this horse, because it's not a horse, it's actually a pony. And then it's a very small toddler of a child. There's a sense of youthfulness. There's a sense of fun. There's a sense of childlike wonder. And I'm thinking to myself that, when Venus and Mercury were going through Sagittarius, there was a lot of what I felt like really super warm, fun, exploratory energy. And then when they moved into Capricorn, it changed dramatically. And if for some reason you started something during that period of time, it's about taking it forward with the same zest and the same excitement, and not allowing fears to get in your way. This is where I'm going with this. But let's pull a spread and see what Spirit wants you to know about where we're talking about this. I have to say that while the aging process has been a little startling as I look at myself in the mirror, I would not change a thing. Every decade has gotten better, and every decade has presented an opportunity for me to get real with what I want for myself. And sometimes that has made me have to be a villain in someone else's eyes. And that can be a little rough, but you get used to it after a while. Okay. Yes, Stephen, exactly. Okay, Sagittarius. Our first angel is Yvonne, our angel of vulnerability. What is our child telling us? There's a certain amount of vulnerability in order for the sun to let things grow. We have Yvonne being joined by Chantal, the angel of romance. Then we have Bridget asking us to look deeper. And then we have Crystal saying, have faith and hope there's more on the horizon that you can't see. I really believe as Saturn continues its transit through Aries, it's really bringing forth this opportunity to see, where you're allowing yourself to be liberated and put in structures that are going to allow your hopes and dreams to come true. Because when Saturn moves into Pisces, some people may think it's going to be all drab and dreary and Saturn's going to be all pissed off. But I think Saturn's going to become the master spiritual teacher. I think Saturn's going to task us with the opportunity to find reward through our disciplined spiritual practices. Okay, Sagittarius, Yvonne is being joined by Merlin, the angel. Well, Merlin isn't actually an angel, but represents alchemy, justice, and balance. Chantal is being joined by the Queen. Bridget is being joined by the Lady of the Lake. And Crystal's being joined by the Transformational Death card. Okay. All right. So, Stephen, thank you for mentioning that this is going into your fifth house, because I think that there's a lot of things going on here. And I want to offer it this way because we have an audience of varied ages and varied genders. And I think on some level, I want to kind of go this way. First of all, if you are of childbearing years and you want to start a family and you've struggled with that, please surrender your struggle and think about what the transits have been for the last few years. And if you would like those to be in your natal chart, because I really believe the souls that are incarnating right now have very strong intentions for this experience and for helping to really birth the Aquarian age, which is an age of genius. It's an age of humanitarian endeavors. It's an age of connecting with the cosmic consciousness. It's an age of exploration and scientific innovation and technological innovation. So this is really important. So now Yvonne is saying, will you be vulnerable to your own balance, to your own ability to create, to the magic that is within you? And that magic comes from understanding that this is an ebb and a flow. There is always going to be a sense of vulnerability attached to this card. Like the human is trained to believe that joy is fleeting, that good times, hit the road post haste, and the bad times are just going to go on and on and on. There's that underbelly that sits in the human experience. So now Chantal is here talking about romance, love, the resurgence of romance in a relationship or a new romance coming. And then there is the Queen. Now, I started saying if you're of childbearing years, right? I really hope if you're of childbearing years, you will check into enjoying the relations with your partner. And even if, let's just say you are partners of the same sex and you need a third party to help you birth children, because I really want to kind of focus on that. And then I'm going to kind of go to a more general for Sagittarius. But if you want to work with children, be around children, have your own children, there's a part of you that must go back to a childlike energy and have fun during the process. And as you awaken to the idea that the soul chooses these transits in their natal chart, it's like that imprint is their personal contract for moving forward. And if you think about the children that were born at the height of COVID, I mean, my goodness, are they going to break ground here on the earth? Because now is a time to receive. The Queen is about reception. It's an ease of what you love, what you want to love, and being loved. And then here's Bridget asking you to look deeper. And here we see the Lady of the Lake. Oftentimes when we feel loved, it almost feels like a gift someone has given us. And if we dig a little bit deeper, it's because we ourselves are not rooted in our self-love. And this is what Spirit was showing me over and over again this last week as I was encountering people who were very dismissive, people that were be like, just flick you off. And what Spirit showed me is that it really wasn't about me, but rather their own feelings of not being valuable allowed them to behave in ways that made other people feel not valuable, and they don't see it within themselves. So Sagittarius, this is about valuing yourself, about taking care of yourself and trusting at a very deep level that romance and love are on the docket for you in resurgence, in new ways, because Crystal is saying, have faith and hope. There's more that you can't see. And the best thing you could ever do, especially as a Sagittarius, is close your eyes and let your inner knowing take you forward. The inner knowing is this beautiful part of your soul that never comes into the physical, because if it did, it would not be able to hold space for you and for your contract. And I want to offer it this way, because the contract is it's more like a syllabus. It's more like going to college and choosing a curriculum and then getting, a month into the semester and dropping a few classes because it's a big load. Oftentimes the soul will bite off more than it can chew, because from Spirit's point of view, it doesn't seem as difficult. But when you get under the veil and you don't realize you're a co-creator and your thoughts are the impetus for that co-creation, it can become overwhelming. So I want to say for Sagittarius, enjoy your birthday month, enjoy feeling loved, put your intentions out. We've got a new moon in Capricorn this week. And I want to offer this, okay? I've said this in my other videos, but if you didn't watch them, I want to say it for you here. This is the second new moon in a row at 1 degree. We had a Sagittarius, that's your sign, new moon at 1 degree. Now we're going to have a Capricorn new moon at 1 degree. We have the first Aquarius new moon will be at 1 degree. The Piscean new moon will be at 1 degree. And then the Aries new moon will be at the 0 degree, which is the critical degree on the world axis. All of these new moons are really teeing you up for that 1 degree, being brave in thought, being courageous in really co-creating at a level that puts your wants and desires first, and then you can see the wisdom of how that actually is an invitation to everyone else to do the same thing for themselves. And I want to offer it this way, because Sagittarius, if indeed you're not interested in having children or you're past those years, then this is really about a childlike joy. It's about having, taking Jupiter moving into your 5th house. It's taking all the elements of that 5th house and, enjoying yourself, decorating your home as a meditation, maybe expressing yourself or making plans to express yourself and your own creativity out into the world. And as you focus in on that, you'll start to see Spirit bring in signs and omens of all of the possibilities of that journey. Okay. I don't think we have Small here today. I hope she's okay. Okay, let's go on to our Capricorns, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Wow. I have to tell you, the Sagittarius new moon was my Jupiter is at 2 degrees Sagittarius, so it was on my Jupiter. Then then this new moon is going to be exact my Saturn in Capricorn. And last night was funny because I had planned on posting all the January videos on this winter solstice. And then I was sitting on the couch, and all of a sudden I felt like Spirit said, go check your chart. And Mercury is right on my midheaven. And so I just zapped those things out, and it was really felt very, very good because it felt like the timing was right using astrology. Okay, so we're going on to our Capricorns. What is our tarot card? The tarot card for our Capricorns is the 5 of Swords. This is not the easiest energy, I will say that. This is where this gentleman has been in battle with these other 2 characters, and he has, a direct contempt for them. It's almost as if he feels they've turned their back on him, as if he doesn't matter. And while he has defeated them, I don't know if he feels victorious. He's still caught up in what was, and even though there's a smirk on his face, but I don't think it's truly a smirk of satisfaction. It feels a little bit like a temporary feeling of satisfaction as I disarm you. But I would feel more triumphant if the 2 characters were facing me. And while they're walking away, there's something about this that feels as if this character is having a temporary win rather than a permanent win. So let's see what's going on, because if indeed Capricorn, there's this with this new moon, I think this is an opportunity to potentially, let's just look at it this way. The swords always indicate what I'm thinking. 5 feels like an opportunity to be independent of, and maybe that's independent of what fears have been holding you back. All right, whoa. Let's see where we're going with this 5 of Swords. Because, Pluto being in the last degrees of Capricorn, we're in the master class, right? We're in the master class, and it's at 27 degrees today, which is the Gemini degree, really looking at our thoughts, where our thoughts are headed. And I want to offer it this way, because you don't need to be perfect in your thoughts, but when you realize that there's a thought, a resentful thought, an angry thought, a victim-y thought that you're having, that thought is not serving you. So when you just say, I don't need that thought anymore. Now let's see what the backside of that. What's the B side of that 45? And then they're playing a new song. All right, Capricorn, your first angel is Bethany, self-care. The second is Merlina. The third is Akasha. And the final is Chantal. Wow. Oh, yes, that's very good, Thibaut. Very, very good. Very, very good indeed. Well, we had the fear card fly out of the deck. We can't ignore that. And it's going right on top of Bethany. Okay. Now I understand the Five of Swords a little bit better, I think. But let's just continue on before I go. Yes, a nice boost to finances. We have Merlina being joined by the Spider. We have Akasha being joined by the Queen. And we have Chantal being joined by the Deer. Okay, so when I look at this Five of Swords, I really do think that this is potentially for Capricorn a temporary victory, and that actually where we get tripped up is that Capricorn is dutiful. Capricorn will do what it doesn't want to do because it's good for the group, or it's good for, other people. And I feel as if this is an opportunity to really, I've been talking to my goats for a while. This is about being the baby goat. And Bethany's about self-care, and there's the fear card. And I got this idea that, if you're not, that you feel potentially that others will have contempt for you, will not support you, if indeed you take care of yourself above them. And I think this is a gamble that's worth taking for Capricorn. I think this is what Pluto has been offering you for since 2008, is to come into a situation and say, you know what, I'm willing to build a strong structure. I'm willing to work hard, but I want some benefit in here too. Because if we don't create a win-win, we're not creating a win. And this is what I think the evolved version of Saturn is. And I feel like Saturn has been pigeonholed into this darkness, and so is Pluto. But at the same time, that darkness is illuminating chains that bind from the human structure, not from spirit's structure. So here we go. Merlina talks about confusion and indecision. And then there's the Spider, which is a relationship card. And for me, I think this is more so supporting a confusion about, will my relationships be sustained? Will I lose relationships because I'm not being and doing what is expected of me versus what is authentic to me? Because Akasha in the angel's advice is a spiritual teacher, and the Queen is about receiving. And I want to offer it this way because this is about self-respect, the courage to take care of self. And Capricorn is a natural builder. There's a natural energy. Like if you think about the goats move, the baby goat is always jumping around. There's a feeling here that Capricorn gets to slow their roll a little bit and learn to receive first from spirit, and then that will ripple out into humans supporting that endeavor, humans showing up as spirit's messenger, that when you take care of you and you allow your dreams to come true, you're actually standing in leadership for everybody else. And this is why I think Saturn actually rules two signs: Capricorn structure and Aquarius liberation. It's so interesting to me how the way these things have been structured, because it really does require us to look deeper into each hue and each characteristic and trait that the planets have to offer us, instead of pigeonholing them with these one or two key words. Because at the end of the day, Capricorn, there's Chantal, the angel of love, and there's the deer. And I think here this is about gentleness and diplomacy as you rediscover your self-love in a way that actually becomes much more palatable. And the fears that you may have had about people not understanding or people turning their back on you because you're not doing what they want you to do anymore, I think that will be calmed. I think it will be quelched. Now let's go back to the idea that Sagittarius rules our belief system, and we had a new moon at 1 degree Aries, bravery and courage in looking at my belief system. Capricorn, 1 degree new moon, offering you building new structures based on the epiphanies that you planted, the seeds that you planted in the Sagittarian new moon. Aquarius, next month, going to give you an opportunity to really liberate yourself and have genius ideas about things. Pisces is going to see the spirituality of it, and by the time we get to Aries, you're going to be able to implement something. So I think this is super powerful. We want to really start to give ourselves a little bit of grace as we unwind and unravel the imprint of yesteryear. Okay, let's go on to our Aquarius rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. All right, Aquarius, your tarot card is the Five of Wands. Now, this is an interesting card because when you first look at it, it seems as if they're fighting. But on closer examination, they're just standing around holding these wands in the most awkward way. And when I look at this, I feel as if the first thing I want to say for Aquarius is don't make any rash decisions. Sort of slow down and take a look at things twice, because you may realize that your first initial response to something was not perceived in what was actually happening. Because when you look at these guys really closely, you can see a couple of them are holding these huge wands with only one hand. There's no way they can actually have any prowess or any skill at, hitting somebody else with just having it in one hand. So here we go. I would say this, it could potentially be practice, but to me, we're going to see where spirit is looking, where there's a potential of where am I being awkward? Where am I holding my inspirations and my passions, my fire in such an oddball way that it's not actually getting me anywhere? That's what I kind of think, but let's see. There's a bit of it that could be considered jovial. They could be team players, and they're all just trying to find their position. There's a lot of variance within this card. A lot of ways you can interpret it. You look at the boots, you look at the color of the boots, you look at the stance of the people here. I find that interesting. But let's see what the angels have to say. All right, Aquarius. Our first angel is Merlina. The second is Akasha. The third is Aurora, and the final is Ariel. Merlina is being joined by the Baird. Akasha's being joined by the Focus card. Aurora's being joined by the Novice. And Ariel's being joined by the Swan. Okay, so here we see, Saturn going through. Saturn, I think, is at 21 degrees Aquarius right now. And I think this is a real opportunity to go back to what I was talking about with the retrograde observations. Saturn moving forward in your sign, your co-ruler, your ancient ruler. So Saturn ruled you for, thousands of years before Uranus showed up. So I think this is about, and I normally say that the Baird is about history, but I think this is the enchantment of storytelling. And I think Merlina is not about confusion, but rather about clarity. I think that if there has been any awkwardness in your passions, in how you want to move those wands forward, when I think about the wands, they're fire signs, so they're going to rule, my own individual thought, Aries, my self-expression, Leo, my willing to go into new territory. Thank you, Sagittarius. And I think that's where Merlina is about magic in telling a new story. Telling a new story that gives you an opportunity to see, I think of Aquarius as very, very cerebral in the sense of the thoughts that Aquarius has are so outside the box, so innovative, and so kind of, Saturn is historic. Saturn's old history. But here I feel like this is where, when I start to tell a new story, I start to actually rewrite my story. And this is where Saturn is giving you an opportunity to take the observations that you had as it went forward in Aquarius, then it went retrograde. What did I learn? Now I get to take all that information and I get to renovate myself in a much stronger way, which lets Saturn build me that innovation in the 3D world. That's what I think is complementary. So here, don't fight your passions, I feel like. This is a time to focus on your passions. Here's Akasha, the spiritual teacher. And I can't help but go back to this idea that the Baird is teaching me something about my focus when I start to tell a new story, whether that story has manifested itself in the physical world or not. Because Aurora says you're flying high right now. Don't descend. You will soon inspire others. And there's the novice. And I think this is about skill without practice. I absolutely believe in the universal laws of ebb and flow. I absolutely believe in vibration. And for me personally, I can see myself having a pity party, feeling sorry for myself, pushing myself to do something in a very arduous way, and I get no results from it, which just feels defeating. Then I surrender that and I look for the joy. I look for the fun of my passions. I look for the ease of my passion. And as I move towards that, I see things happen in a very, very different way. So here, Aquarius, Ariel is saying that as you start to implement new focus, you learn from your focus, you observe your own focus, you observe the stories you're telling to others. I had a moment where I was talking to a friend of mine the other day and I caught myself going down a road that I didn't like. And I watched myself not being able to stop telling this story of woe. And I heard Spirit say, it's okay, don't freak out about telling the story. The observation you had that you were getting in your own way in that moment already removed the obstacle. Because Ariel is saying new psychic and spiritual experiences are changing the way you view yourself and others. And there's the transformational swan. And Aquarius oftentimes feels alien in the world, feels a little bit outside the norm. And sometimes I don't think Aquarius can decide where they want to be. Do I want to be part of the norm? No, not really. But then I do want to be accepted and loved by others. And that's where I think the swan comes in, because the connection that you have to spirit and this opportunity to write a new story brings transformation in a way that makes you feel valued. And I want to offer it this way too, because the value doesn't just come from others, it comes from yourself. So if for some reason you've been feeling a little bit, awkward in your passions, or you've been feeling like the competition is better than you, there is no competition but what's inside of your head. Yeah. Okay. Let's go on to our Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I feel like it's a little unusual. We don't have Small here today. I hope she's feeling okay. She's been kind of, I think, fighting, feeling under the weather. Well, Lucy Rose, I want to offer this because in my meditations, and I don't know if you heard this earlier, I very much have been talking to Spirit about value, and how we feel valued. And Spirit said, the very first person that you get to recognize your value to is yourself. And if you look at how much you value yourself, you will see that reflected in other people. And so if someone else is treating you as if you have no value, your willingness to observe whether they value themselves and are they treating me the way they treat themselves. That's where I was feeling a little bit of wisdom coming in, and where I was feeling it, taking it a little less personally. All right, let's go on to our Pisces. We have the Hermit. The Hermit is a very, very, the major arcana cards are always going to give us a strong influence, much more so than the minor arcana cards. And here what we're seeing is a combination of reflection. This has a weird feeling of Saturn, and then it also represents Virgo. So I want to offer it this way, because here I'm kind of resonating more right now with the idea that this is about Saturn and reflection of what may have appeared a cold, isolated road actually gives me an opportunity to see something different. And I want to look at it this way. Pisces, I believe, is the most mutable sign of them all, which is why I think you represent addiction a bit, because sometimes this is a hard, hard world to be in, and wanting to escape all of the brutality that we see and all the injustice and all the confusion. It can be too much. And right now, the information highway is so broad. There's so much coming at us and so much coming out of nowhere, what appears to be nowhere. This could be a time where it's a little bit of a dividing road, where Pisces might feel like, I want to go and just run away and hide. And at the same time, allowing yourself to go into the energies of your imagination and music and poetry and going into the more creative dynamics could really be where spirit inspires you, and where you feel some sort of you get a sense of solace and comfort from spirit's connection, showing you what the disruption, what it offers at the end of the day. The caterpillar, if you tell the caterpillar, wow, you're going to die, you're going to go through this terrible, you're going to have enzymes where you literally eat your own body, but you're going to be transformed into something where you're no longer on that little twig and you can fly all over the place. I don't know if the caterpillar would be so excited about the idea, but it is the natural order of evolution. So I feel like for my Pisces, if there's some distasteful things within this reflection, it only offers you pearls down the line, and it's in some ways your opportunity to stretch for those pearls. So let's see where we're looking at here. Where is the Hermit? A little bit of quiet time. Because in no time flat, by the end of January, Venus will move into Pisces, and it's going to be really warm and fuzzy in there. She's coming to stay for a while. She's packing her bags. All right. The Hermit is being joined by Serena, the angel of abundance. We have Crystal, the angel of hope and faith. Then we have Rosetta, which talks about children and teaching and parenting. And then we have the compassion of Grace and Antoinette, which is, if there's one thing you rule, Pisces, it is compassion. Serena is being joined by the restriction card. Crystal's being joined by the Queen. Rosetta's being joined by the risk card. And Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the fear card. Okay. There has been a lot of, there's more masks being worn by people. I think there's more 2.0s about this or that. And there's a lot of fear-based dynamics around us. And Mars's transit through Gemini is really probably not helping matters much, seeing how people are resorting to aggressive, violent behaviors and some things even worse. Because I want to offer it this way. Between the Hermit and Serena and the restriction card, Pisces, I think this is a real time to focus on meditation, focus on your vibration, give yourself an opportunity to indulge in creative things so that it eases your mind. I really want to caution you about, escaping with any sort of substances during this time. Neptune has been stationing at 22 degrees for quite some time. And a lot of astrologers think the 22 degree is very challenging, which it can be, but it's also the master number of cooperation and couplehood. And I think this is about connecting with yourself and your real hopes, your real dreams, your real desires, and allowing spirit to bring some sort of illumination, because this feels as if you're being put in a bit of a timeout until you calm down. Because when I go to the final position, it feels as if Pisces might be in a lot of fear. And it's about having compassion for the journey of fear. The journey of fear is absolutely where your exhilaration, your achievement lies. There is nothing you will endeavor that you have any passion or excitement about that you don't have a little bit of fear about. So Crystal is saying, have faith and hope there's more on the horizon that you can't see. And there's the Queen. The Queen is always about the feminine energy being a receptive energy, not a gender, being a calm energy, being serene. Now we have Rosetta, talking about children, talking about parenting, and the risk card. I think this could go twofold because I do believe that many of our tribe members are of childbearing years and want to bring children into the world. And the medical community in some ways doesn't support the natural process. There's always seems to be a challenge here or there. And I don't know if the challenge is always as insurmountable as we would think. I think oftentimes there is a focus. And if we think of parenting as shepherding a soul through the human experience, then we can start to think that they're picking their birth chart. And if I'm trying too hard to have a child when the transits are challenging, am I actually working against myself? Okay, now let's go, Pisces, to the idea of you being the inner child. Because I think that if you've been feeling fear and trepidation and concern and while Jupiter was in Pisces, there is it got close to Neptune, and I want to say that this could have offered lots of epiphanies and spiritual warm and fuzzies. But if I recall, there were some oppositions going on to Mercury, and it may have asked you, what do you really believe? And I want to offer it this way because fear's never fun, but it is illuminating. It illuminates where our focus is. It illuminates where we don't believe in ourselves. It illuminates opportunities for empowerment and to move past an old illusion. So I want to offer it this way, at least for this next week, to allow yourself this new moon to plant the seeds of what you want to experience in the future, to be serene in any pauses that the universe is presenting for you and knowing that they're teeing up the elements for you to move forward, and to be compassionate with yourself as you feel unsure about it. Because your being sure-footed is not as influential as your willingness to align to that which you cannot see, your willingness to implement the spiritual dynamics and laws that you govern. And I believe that Pisces is a very karmic sign. It is sort of the completion of this cycle that we've gone through, and it sort of tees up the next cycle. So as you have compassion for your fears, and rather than trying to avoid them, trying to run away from them, swim away from them, you sit back and you kind of say, all right, Spirit, I'm going to allow you to bring me an epiphany that I didn't know was there. Something I didn't know could happen. There we go. All right. Let's move on to our Aries. Welcome, Bora Bora. Good to see you in the room. Good to see everybody. And just so you know, I'm just going to say in between signs, this is the last live of 2022. The next Sunday's Christmas Day here, and then New Year's Day. So we're going to take off those days. We'll resume the broadcast again live on January 8th, 2023. I will be doing a live this Friday, the 23rd, from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., where I'm going to answer your questions directly. If you email me your question, I will do my best to see that it's answered within the allotted time. Directly, we'll be pulling spreads just for you. All right, here we go. Aries, the 9 of Wands. This is an interesting energy because, your ruling planet has been going through Gemini. It's currently retrograde. I believe it's making a square to something. I'm trying to think what it is right now. Because if I remember correctly, it's down in those lower degrees of Gemini. But anyway, I want to offer it this way. This character in the 9 of Wands is on guard. He's been in the war, he's been wounded, and while he's still able to defend his territory, there could be an over defending the territory. And let's look at this. So Jupiter's going to move back into Aries the next day or so, the 20th. We have Chiron moving direct this week, I believe on the same day as the new moon, the 23rd. And Jupiter will meet with Aries in pretty short period of time. So I'm sorry, meet with Chiron in Aries in a pretty short period of time. So there's going to be an examination and maybe an exasperation and expansion of a wound, but also an opportunity to find the spirituality within it, to be blessed by that, and to maybe even stop feeling a need to guard yourself or protect yourself. Let's see. Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Welcome. Just call me C. Did I say hi, Tebow? I hope I did. Stephen, I think that's awesome. Bringing your creativity to a new height. I really think there's a huge audience for our self-expression these days. I think people are really looking for authenticity, not a cookie cutter situation. So as we each bring our own perception and our own perspective, I think there's a larger tendency these days to embrace it. All right. Aries, our first angel is Archangel Michael. The second is Layla. The third is Shanti. And the final is Grace and Antoinette. Mars's transit through Gemini. There she is. We missed you, honey. I'm so glad to see you in the room. Okay. All right. Aries, this is what I want to say. Okay. Mars's transit through Gemini and me being an Aries rising has really made me think about how my self-talk. And I'll admit it, there's a lot of, I'm an Aries South Node, Aries rising, and with Pluto squaring me, it's like, how long are you going to bark about your resentments? How long are you going to bark about, what was, what has been, and who done you wrong? And this is where I think Archangel Michael is having asking me to have the courage to stop defending myself, to defending me. I found myself being angry at people whom I feel dismissed by. There are certain people that, especially this particular year, that have made me feel like I'm invisible. And I'm like, don't you see my value? And that's when Spirit said, do you see your value? Do you honor your value, Miss Teri? Or are you going to let your Aries rising resentment make everybody else have to see your value before you will? That was a big one. I'm like, wow, that rings true to me. Maybe the law of attraction is bringing me all these people who don't value themselves. So when they dismiss me or they flick me off or they just don't respond, it's really a reflection of them versus me. And I'm co-creating because I have that hue, that color, that lane in my highway. So let's see, Aries. Archangel Michael is asking you to make divine life choices that bring you more joy. Get out of your resentful body. And I say that because I'm an Aries rising, so I feel like I'm part of the club that can hold on to resentments, but I'm sick of that crap. And here's the letting go card in my opportunity or my obstacle, and Layla saying to speak to Spirit about what your intentions are. I said to Spirit, I want to be a peaceful warrior. I'm tired of being angry. I'm tired of, my dad has been dead for almost 12 years and I'm still bitching about him. I'm so over it. Shanti, the angel of peace, is offering a cleanup of the house. This is where Aries rising, moon, sun, and stelliums, your ruling planet Mars, is going through the sign of the monkey mind in its lowest form. Gemini is the monkey mind, the everyday activities, the imprint of my childhood. In order to feel peace, there is a part of you that gets to reconcile that how long am I going to continue to defend my position? Do I really need someone else to say to me, I screwed you over and I'm sorry? Because you know what? Nobody who I believe has done that to me is going to apologize to me. And am I going to ruin my life because I'm just going to sit here in anger until I get their validation? I really think this is what this Nine of Wands is about. Done. Done, 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 done. Because have compassion for yourself as you journey towards the experience of joy. It's hard sometimes. I think because Aries has that hero energy. And if you think about it, we talk about the god of war, Mars, ruling Aries, and we only perceive it as this, very aggressive energy going in. And so often we, at least here in my country, we refer to our military as fighting for our freedoms. Now, Aries, will you fight for your own freedom by allowing yourself to put down where you've defended an old story? Are you courageous enough and tenacious enough to move towards what brings you joy? Are you willing to literally let go of what has been and start talking about what you want to experience? Because you are being offered peace. Peace as you realize there's nothing you can do about some things. There really is some things there's no conclusion. There is no ending. And with this potential new moon coming up, or I shouldn't say potential, the potentials of the new moon in Capricorn is to really allow yourself to plant the seeds of your joy and to have compassion for yourself as you unwind this burden you've been carrying for quite some time. I think sometimes Aries is so resentful because it can be very selfless. Aries, the hero. I went in and saved you from a fire. I have done this for you. And then it doesn't feel reciprocal. And sometimes that's because Aries is a little bit aggressive and people get scared of it. I know I've been told I'm intimidating over and over again in my life. And I'm like, hello, that ain't true. But yet maybe it is. Anyway, all right, let's go on to our next Angel. I'm so glad to see you, Small. I was getting concerned. I was worried about you. It's our last broadcast, of the year. We're taking 2 weeks off. We're going to actually have the holidays. I bought me in lucky pajamas from Pajamagrams, little polar bears. He hates his pajamas. Whenever I put them on him, he goes and gets in his bed and lays there like this. I'm like, oh. All right. Taurus. The Four of Pentacles. Okay. I want to offer this because in no time, by the time we get to the second half of May, Jupiter's going to have moved into Taurus. And I wonder right now if this isn't a little bit of scarcity. Are you feeling scarcity? As Venus and Mercury have moved into Capricorn, there could feel a tightening of the belt. We're watching everything go up: gas, food, rent. It's like a big blowback from COVID. So this is about hoarding. This is about having money and holding it uncomfortably, holding it in scarcity and not being able to move. So let's see where this is at. Is it money? Is it material resources? Let's see. I don't even know what time it is, but yeah, we're an hour in. So I'm glad you're on vacation time. You deserve it, Small. And Lucy was here. She's been, and other people have been putting, somebody else was also helping to in the chat identify where we're starting our timestamp. Sorry, I can't remember who it was. For some reason, I'm not seeing the chat as well as I used to. I think my eyeballs are having a wonderful opportunity for adjustment. Oh, well, I hope your sister had a nice stay. Okay, Four of Pentacles for our Tauruses. Our first angel is Yvonne, the angel of vulnerability. The second is Azure. Your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith and don't try to force it. Akasha is the teacher. And Grace and Antoinette is the compassion card. That's a lot of Grace and Antoinette showing up at the end of the spreads. Compassion for the self. That's where I'm going, because other people right now are going to be in their human bodies. They're not going to, sometimes when I mention transits in some of my work, when I do angel readings, some of my clients aren't into astrology. So they sort of roll their eyes like, oh, dear God, don't go there. Because they think that little tiny speck in the sky can't be affecting my life. Oh, yeah, it can. So, Taurus. Yvonne wants you to be vulnerable in your truth. Lady of the Lake is joining you. Azure is asking you to joy is on its way. There's an opportunity for good things coming. Uranus is liberating you from something. Akasha is being joined by the High Priestess, and Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the Swan. I believe it was Molly McCord say that the fixed signs are like in each quadrant, they hold the middle position. So the cardinal first position gives us some wiggle room, and the mutual position gives us some wiggle room, but the fixed signs are sort of packed in the middle. So here we see this feeling of being stuck. And potentially you could be stuck about resources, about your ability to move the story forward, your sense of security in the world. I mean, we know that that's what Taurus rules. And I feel like this vulnerability here that Yvonne is talking about is having the courage to understand the storm, to sort of realize, you've got the North Node and Uranus moving through your sign. There could be a real strong, tenacious feeling of, please, I just want to feel secure. I want to feel the flow. And yet there's a constant storm between trust and your brain saying, well, is that practical? Is that practical? And then there's Azure saying your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith. And there's the joy card. And to me, the joy card is flow. Because this guy feels stuck. I think he craves flow so he can get up and move around and enjoy his material success. So what is Spirit offering you during this time? If you think about Uranus is like the Starship Enterprise, going where no man has gone before, into the cosmic consciousness and meeting new characters. I think this is where you're meeting yourself and your inner being and your intuition and your own plan. However old you are, whatever influence you have in the Taurus energy is about to really show benefit when Jupiter moves in there. And all the epiphanies and all the, disruption that potentially Uranus might have created is working for you. And now you're learning that. You're learning to trust your inner being and a higher version of what you want to experience on the earthly plane. Because Grace and Antoinette is about having compassion for your own transformation. And I think that's where the transformation comes from, the idea of knowing that there's a part of you that can be a little bit stubborn. I know my moon is in Taurus, and when I've been emotionally hurt, this is one of my biggest challenges, is that I want outside validation that somebody done me wrong, and it ain't going to happen. And I think that's my biggest opportunity for evolution, is that I've been discounting me when others have discounted me. So now I'm not going to discount me anymore. So here we go. I'm going to have compassion for myself as I walk through this transformation of being the ugly duckling and now transforming into the swan, where I no longer feel stuck financially, but I actually understand the ebb and the flow. And if I'm in an ebb, if I'm in a tight place, am I aligned to the tightness, or am I aligned to the flow? I think this is very powerful, because the age of Aquarius for me, as we move into it, is the co-creator. It is the awareness of our co-creation. It is not about blame. It's not about finger pointing. Well, you created crap for yourself, so too bad for you. No, it's not like that. It's like, okay, if I have been unconsciously creating, here's an opportunity to evolve past that. So I think this is very powerful, because there's a vulnerability that is required from Taurus, about coming down to the deeper truth of what you want. And I want to offer it this way, because you may first of all think, oh, I need a bank full of money. And then as you allow yourself further reflection, it may be, oh, I don't need a bank full of money. What I need is flow of money, flow of resources, flow of food, flow of cash, flow of opportunities. And the focus of that could very well bring that into your experience, because your ruling planet is in Capricorn right now. And it may be stoking those fears, that reevaluation. As Venus moves closer and closer to Pluto, Pluto's going to be like, look, girl, you got to tell me your deeper truth, because this superficiality that you've been doing isn't going to work anymore. And not because I'm trying to tank you, but because I want you to truly be happy. And that's what I think Pluto has to offer. It's ripping apart these human structures that give us a false sense of security and digging deep into our potentials for co-creation. So that's what's happening here for Taurus this week. Be gentle with yourself. You know, I love the idea that Grace and Antoinette represent compassion, not just for others, but of self, giving yourself grace as you're walking a road of discovery. Okay. Hey, Les, welcome to the room. Happy holidays. We are on to our Geminis, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. All righty. See what our tarot card is for our Geminis. It is the Judgment card, the opportunity to rise like the phoenix from the ashes. We see Archangel Gabriel heralding a new day, a new dawn, as what has held us in a feeling of death and coldness is now giving life to us, as we see this, the yellow on the hair. I believe this is the Epiphanies. Feels very Platonian to me. And what has Mars been doing? Taking no prisoners, going through Gemini. Really, you know, it's kind of funny to me because this is really where it feels a bit polarizing. For those that are living in, or in a conscious life, an aware life, Mars has been offering you an opportunity to see how you show up, how you're communicating, to be brave and courageous. And for those that are living unconsciously, it's just been frustrating the heck out of them, and they've been acting out very aggressively. Be mindful on the roads, guys. Let the aggressor in on the lane. Don't take him toe for toe, because people are a little unpredictable these days. All right, let's see where we're going with this. Gemini, where is this? You know, we're having this new moon in Capricorn this week. Again, I did a separate video. Check it out. And the January monthlies are up, so please check those out if you'd like to see what's happening for you in January. Gemini, our first angel is Patience. The second is Archangel Michael. The third is Astera. And the final is Rochelle. It may be that Mars has created so much disruption within your workplace, within your teammates, your environment, your neighborhood. You may be bringing changes that you don't, that have been long time coming. In the wings is the way I want to put it, in the wings. All right, the Patience card is being joined by the Trust card. Archangel Michael is being joined by the Partnership card. Astera is being joined by the Eagle. And Rochelle is being joined by the Goblin. All right, Gemini, this is what I'm going to say. There is something coming to fruition. And in January, we're going to have a full moon in Cancer. So there'll be some sort of culmination of a cycle that has to do with home, with nurturing. And I bring that up because when I look at this, I feel like if there's been disruption in your neighborhood, if there's been disruption with your landlord, if there's been disruption with your teammates, or you're finding your workmates, your peers at work are being cranky or testy, I feel very much this is a bigger story. This disruption is going to illuminate something, and it doesn't necessarily have to be negative. And part of your job is not to drink the Kool-Aid of cray-cray in the meantime, because patience is about observation, and there's the Trust card. And the Trust card is a 47 that reduces down to an 11. This is the observation of your own thoughts and where you could potentially be caught up in thoughts that don't really serve you, or diminishing yourself in some way. Because Archangel Michael is offering you protection, but also the courage. And I don't think this is about outside yourself. I think this is partnership with the truth of what you want to experience, with what you want to move forward, with how you would like there to be a bit of a shift, a change, something that brings more flow, more ease. Because Astera is telling you to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires, and there's the ego. This is a very strong connection to the angelic realm, but also sort of coming back in and having conversation about what this rise like the phoenix looks like for you. What I found myself doing is that I found myself feeling, wondering if I was, I really have been wondering about my value for months now. Like, am I producing anything of value out into the world? And what I've found recently is that in that contemplation, there was an expectation of me that doesn't necessarily fit. One of the things I've always said about myself is I'm fabulously flawed. And there is where the key lies. There's where I allow myself to be Spirit's messenger, is just to be myself. And I think each and every one of you have that same opportunity. And so as you allow for your individual dreams and your individual expression, you start to focus in on that. It's going to move stuff around for you. Because I think Mars's journey in such a long time in Gemini is meant to help you be brave in standing for what you want. And it may have started off with like being pissed off. That's where I talk about the retrograde. I had mentioned earlier, Small, you didn't get to hear this, but I was talking about the retrograde period. And like when a planet's moving forward, it presents a situation, right? And then when the planet moves retrograde, you get an opportunity to review that situation and see if it really works for you. And then when it moves forward again, there's the potential to cash in, to get the reward of that process. So for Gemini, with Mars doing all this stuff in your sign and going to be in your sign until March 2023, I think that as you reach for the stars with your dreams and desires and you connect with Spirit and you have the courage to actually look at your teen and be like, you are my co-creator, instead of figuring out how you're going to push everything forward. Because Rochelle says, as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, and then there's the ego, because the ego may tell you, I need to do it. The person needs to work hard. The person needs to do this. The person needs to do that. And I think that that's counterintuitive to actually making things manifest. So this last week, I watched myself go from feeling a real drudgery to making videos to finding joy. I was like somewhere I was able to make a shift in my heart that was saying, you know what, this isn't what I have to do, it's what I get to do. And I feel like that's what Gemini gets to start saying. I get to start to assess and to come to a conclusion about what I get to do in this world versus what I have to do. And in doing so, Spirit will offer you reward. And even if you don't necessarily see the reward in the physical, you'll start to feel it. And as you feel it, it will start coming at you faster and faster and faster until you can't deny it. All right, let's go on to our Cancers. Rising, Moon, Sun, and Stelliums. Your tarot card is the Knight of Wands. Now, this is a fire sign. You get this feeling of movement. It's almost as if I can't wait to get to my passions. I can't wait to experience some sort of, when I look at the wand he's holding, we've got 5 little bits of new life on that. We see the base chakra color on the top of his hat, or his helmet, I should say. And I feel like there is an inspired idea here somehow that plays to the very foundation of who this character is. Let's see where we're going with this. This is for Cancer, Rising, Moon, Sun, and Stelliums. I was Bora Bora. I was watching, I don't even know. It was probably TikTok, actually. And this guy was talking about sharks, like literally the killer sharks, not the orcas, but the ones who had jaws. And he was talking about one, what was her name? He had named her Emma, I think her name was. And she was like a dog. She knew him. She was familiar with him under the water. He would pet her and rub her, and she would purr. However, sharks purr. I found that so interesting. I thought, you know what? Humans are funny. Everything needs love. Everything needs support. All right, Knight of Wands for our Cancers. Yvonne is our first energy angel. Then we have Oceana. Then we have Crystal. And then we have Isaiah. Yvonne is being joined by the Burden card. Oceana is being joined by the Earth Fairy. Crystal's being joined by the letting go card, and Isaiah is being joined by the B card. Okay. For my Cancers, I want to offer it this way, because when I look at this initial burden card with Yvonne, it feels very much as if it's a burden to have faith right now in that which you cannot see. And, if we think about the experiences that Cancer and Capricorn have gone through, we had the nodes a little while back going through your signs. We have Pluto making an opposition to late-born Cancers. And I feel as if the burden of inspiration comes because there's a sense of weariness in some way for the journey. For the last couple of years, I've been feeling like Cancer has been feeling as if connection was elusive, that real authentic connection between humans. And having that coming up and having Pluto sort of stoke this feeling of vulnerability, I feel as if this is really a time to dig down into your emotional body, into your soul's contract, and to birth it into the earth plane. I want to offer it this way for my Cancers. This week, the 23rd is the new moon in Capricorn, and I would love for you to really set an intention for spirit to anchor and build you the relationships that you want to experience, because Crystal is saying, have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon that you can't see. And here now we're seeing your fears taking over a little bit, as if in your contemplation, part of you wants to be inspired, and then part of you is being pulled back, and you're going back and forth between the two, which is kind of like, it feels a little bit like a crab crawl, because the burden of vulnerability. And let's look at it this way. Again, I can't help but feel like there's a lot of souls that want to incarnate in this new dynamic after we get past these little rough spot here. And so that by the time they get to be a certain age, there will be opportunities that are afforded them that other generations did not see or did not experience. So now for my Cancers, I think, am I vulnerable to the things that I want to experience? Am I vulnerable to my own passions? Am I vulnerable in the sense of believing they can happen? Or am I mourning them already because I don't think they can happen? And this is where I feel like there's an opportunity to say, you know what, Spirit, help me ground that which I want to experience into my physical, emotional, spiritual bodies, so that I am part of the solution to creating them. Because here Isaiah is saying it's time to give birth to new ideas and new situations. And then we have the B card, which represents good luck. It represents victory, and it also represents my being energy. What do I believe? What is my attitude? What is my disposition? So I feel as if this is a real opportunity to trust an inner knowing in a way that supersedes what's going on in your physical experience. Okay, I'm going to give you a quick example. When I was a little girl, I don't know why everybody in my family wanted something from my grandfather. He was the only stable person. I would be so shocked if he didn't have Saturn in the first house, because he was always there for his family, always putting other people first. And there were certain people that would just milk him. I mean, like unbelievably. I need this, I need that, blah, 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 blah. And I remember having a real problem with that and saying to him, I'll be okay. I know as my life goes on, Grandpa, that I'll be able to take care of myself and I'll be able to create my own abundance. And here I am at 63 years old, and I'm still, hippo eyes when it comes to finances. And this last period of time, one of the things in my meditations that Spirit reminded me of was that child who believed in herself. And now I stand at the doorway of that. And am I going to open the door, or am I going to stand in fear at the front of the door of my dreams? Because that's what I think is going on. And I think that Cancer, you get to dig deep into how much you spend time fearing that it won't happen versus calling it forth. because I think that there is a real opportunity for things to change for you. And now is the time to seize that moment, to seize it in a way that's saying, you know what, I don't necessarily need to have tangible evidence in this moment, but what I'm going to do is align with the bigger part of me, my soul's destiny. I always see Oceana as this sort of journey of the human going up through this emotional ocean, for lack of a better term, because I have no control over the ocean. It has its own ebbs, its own tides, and I'm doing my best to find the light and swim up through it. The card, if you look at it, you can see there are stars behind this, and then there's a whale here in the corner. To me, this is looking at my soul's destiny and continuing to look at the stars for the contract that I have agreed to. So what I want is viable. So where I was trying to say with this little girl story, that I always knew I would be fine financially and materially, I get to believe in her because she was more pure than I am now, because I've been on this planet for quite some time. So go into your inner knowing, give birth to new ideas and new situations. Look as to how much do I believe that what I want to experience is viable. And if you want to have a baby, because that's, I'm getting this feeling of a lot of babies wanting to be conceived right now. I think we get to remember that you are co-creator with that soul. So it's not just about you, it's about the co-creation. And if for some reason there's been a stall, don't freak out. Just think, oh, maybe the baby doesn't want to be a fire sign, or it doesn't want to be a water sign, or it doesn't want to have this conjunction going on when it's born. All right, let's go on to our Lions. I'm already planning my holiday meal. I'm very excited about what I'm going to make. I don't know why I've been into cooking for myself lately. And then I sit here and I go, oh my goodness, this is so good. My Taurus moon. Who knows? Maybe it's my progress chart. Okay, Leo. We have the Chariot. This is a very lovely energy. Major Arcana is always very strong energy, very influential. This rules Cancer. It rules intuition. We can see that this warrior, this gladiator, has these crescent-shaped moons on his shoulders. He's got a canopy of stars here. This is where he gets his true power from. And then we have the Sphinxes. There's a polarity here. This Chariot appears not to be moving, and yet it's a vessel for movement. So I feel as if there is an opportunity for Leo to connect with their emotional body, to understand that there is a movement, even if it doesn't appear movement. And I want to say this for Leo, because Saturn is opposing your house. So you may feel that this may be representing that Saturn pull, and feeling a little bit as if you're being slowed down when you want to charge forward. But there could be a very good reason for that slowdown, because there could be a connection made. There could be an opportunity coming that you couldn't see if you were not otherwise in a pause. All right, Leo, our first angel is Mystique. The second is Archangel Uriel. The third is Astera, and the final is Aurora. The person who has an effortless journey to their manifestations, to their dreams, is not really an inspiring human, because others look at them and say, well, you did it. It's easy for you, but it's not easy for me. That's why all these competition shows have a package that the contestant, contributes to show their journey of challenge before triumph. Get where I'm going, Leo? Mystique is being joined by the Baird. Uriel is being joined by the Cow. Astera is being joined by the Novice. And Aurora is being joined by the Focus card. Okay. The mystique always represents charging ahead and expecting miraculous solutions. And there is the Baird. And here I'm going to talk about, this is no longer talking about your history. In order to charge ahead, you get to start to tell a new story, an enchanted story, a story that is riddled with Leo energy of fun and excitement, of self-expression, of romance, of enjoyment and entertainment. So I really think that this is how you will best facilitate your own miracles. And while there may appear to be no movement in this time, this is an angel, or I'm sorry, this is a tarot card that represents victory. Here we have Archangel Uriel helping you deal with frustration, because apparently things aren't moving fast enough for you to feel a sense of abundance and flow, but yet there could potentially be a baton pass coming, an opportunity to express yourself at a new level, or in a broader level, or at an elevated place where you're having a bigger platform or more influence over the situation. Because Astera says to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires and don't compromise. And there's the unstable new beginning, skill without practice. And this is where I think that there's the potential that Leo is stepping into a new arena of some kind, and that this movement is also feels like no movement because there's a recalibration of some kind. But here, not but, excitingly, the end of the spread, we have Aurora saying to continue upon this path, because you may not feel any movement right now, but your continued focus on what you want will soon inspire others. So I want to offer this. If there's been a stall, if indeed you find yourself coming into a stall, the holidays slow things down, then we go into a Mercury retrograde. The beginning of the year is going to feel sluggish with Mars and Mercury both in retrograde. So a little bit of patience, a little bit of going into the place of connecting with your guides, connecting with the stars, connecting with your intuition. And when you can't take physical action, taking intuitive action, taking action in the way of connecting with spirit, putting your the opportunity for you to put an intention out there, to tell the story, to recognize that your frustration is putting a slowdown on your manifestation, and that while you are starting something new, I want to offer it this way. When I was on Lotta's channel, I could get 5,000 views. If I was on a good week, I'd get 10,000 views. And I never, ever worried about that number of views because I was under Lotta's umbrella, like she was the boss. On my own channel, the idea of getting 10,000 views got me nervous. And if I'm nervous about 10,000 views, then I'm blocking what it is in the way of my expansion on this channel. It's taken me a while to recalibrate that. And in it, I kept going back to source and saying, if I'm meant to do this work, thank you for being my teammate. Thank you for helping me to feel a flow of resources and money and confidence. And this is what I think is going on for my Leos. And as you do that, you will feel less frustration and more trust in your natural leadership, in your natural joyous energy. And you'll share that with others. And in doing so, you're actually being of great service to others. So focus in on you and don't let yourself descend into any sort of feelings of being stuck or frustrated. Take some time off. Play a game. Watch a dumb movie. Okay, here we go. We're going into our Virgos. Okay, Virgo, our tarot card is the Hanged Man. This energy is very Neptunian. And I say that because when I was learning how to combine astrology and the tarot, that's how this comes up. And I think it's because it gives epiphanies. There's a sense of sacrifice here. There's a sense of willing to go upside down in order to get to the deeper truth. It's also, in some respects, this feels voluntary to me. It doesn't feel as if somebody put this character up on this wooden structure, this I don't know what to call it. It's not a cross. It's more like a bar. And it's interesting to me because it's not a dry bar. It's got foliage on it. So I really feel like this character is having to turn upside down some of his base chakra energies in order to connect to higher realms of co-creation. So let's look and see where this is, because it definitely means a pause. It definitely means a slowdown. If we think about Neptune, Neptune rules Pisces. Pisces rules the bedroom where we sleep, where we meditate, where we spend time alone. Virgo may need to spend some time alone. Let's see. Our first angel is Teresa. The second is Mystique. The third is Archangel Uriel. And the final is Akasha. Teresa talks about worrying about everybody else's needs but your own, caring for everyone else, and maybe it's time to slow that roll a little bit. Let's see. Teresa is being joined by the Mystery card. Mystique is being joined by the Swan. Archangel Uriel is being joined by the Joy card. And Akasha is being joined by the Letting Go card. You know, I want to offer it this way for my Virgos, because Virgo by nature represents service to others, represents our health, both mental and physical health. Most of the time we think of our body, but I think stress affects our body. So here, I think that this is really, Spirit is asking you to make the choice, Virgo, to stop worrying about everybody else. And whatever needs to get done will get done. Everything is fabulously flawed on this planet. And now I really think that there's a little bit of something going on for you to transform and experience more lightness and more fun. I almost feel like it's one of those things that if you don't expect something from another person or another situation, you may end up getting it inadvertently, which will surprise you. But I do think that part of it, you know, the shadow side of Virgo is to be a little bit of a perfectionist, you know, and maybe even to consider or to expect perfection from those around you, or at least for them to be and try as hard as you do, and they may not do that. So I really think this is about making a choice not to worry about anybody else right now, and to give yourself this, it's the holidays, give yourself a break, meaning just only do fun things. Because here's Mystique saying to keep charging ahead. This is a process of some kind, and it's a process of transformation. And, you know, I want to say this, unfortunately, my observation of the human experience is when somebody works really hard for somebody else, the other person usually doesn't appreciate it. It almost seems like appreciation, if they have it, turns to expectation as time goes on. And I think, Virgo, it's time for you to experience more joy, for you to put yourself at the top of the heap, to think that your service to yourself, you're giving yourself a priority, putting yourself at the top of the list, doing nothing, staying in your pajamas, watching movies all day, and being a lazy bum might actually be good for you. It might lower your frustration and the expectations others have of you. Because Akasha, the teacher, is here, and I don't think you're the teacher, although Virgo could represent that because of Mercury, but here's the letting go card. And I think Spirit is trying to teach you that if you let go of something, meaning you don't try to be perfect at it, you don't try to, you know, it's that type of thing where you think, it could be the thing where Virgo's like, oh, everybody's on vacation, I'm going to go catch up on my work so that it's easier in the new year. And it doesn't even work out that way. You catch up on your work, and then there's just a double load when you get back. Don't do anything, Virgo. Relax. Let yourself just chill, have fun, be frivolous, because I think it's going to pop something for you. It's going to pop something in a way that you couldn't otherwise see. And you might find people actually picking up a little bit of the slack for you, where you would never have expected them to do that before. Well, Small, why don't you plan next Sunday or next Saturday? I mean, we're going to have 2 weeks off, so you find some time for you to be totally like dumb girl. Like, and I don't mean it like dumb in the brain. I mean like dumb, like have fun dumb. I mean, you know, sick is good, sick is healthy. It's sick, man. All right, that's it for my Virgos. My lecture is over. Okay, Libra. Oh, yeah. I'm a Libra. That's why I say that. All right. Worry. This is a card, actually, of worrying about things so far in the future, nothing sitting in front of you. And covering your eyes is just blinding you from a solution. Let's see what it is. I know I have been, I'm a Libra sun. Pluto's squaring my sun, squaring my ascendant. And I've really had to process this because as it squares my Mars, I wonder, heart attacks run in my family. And while I could go down this path of worrying about what will happen as a result of what's happened to those that came before me, I really resonate with the idea that Pluto's transforming my anger. Mars representing my anger and resentment, and being in Libra, it's time to find harmony. So Libra, somewhere we're going to start to see that this is an expired energy. Let's look and see where we're going. Give up on your grandchildren? Who said that? No. Have fun with them. Be done with them. Be playful with them. That's what I would think. Take a page from them. Having your grandchildren there will teach you how to laugh in ways that, make you tinkle in your pants. We were kind of going back to Virgo energy there for a minute. We're back on Libra. What does Spirit want us to really recognize where we're worrying about something that probably don't need to worry about? Oceana is our first angel. The second is Astera. The third is Celeste. And the final is Xana. So funny. Okay. Libra, Oceana is being joined by the serpent. Astera is being joined by the Baird. Celeste is being joined by the Risk card. And Xana is being joined by the Earth Fairy. Okay, I really think this is very interesting. So, Libra, Pluto has been squaring you for a long time. I just said that a second ago. Late-born Libras are experiencing the square super tight right now. We also kind of have the United States going to have an interesting experience as the natal Pluto experiences a conjunction with transiting Pluto, and Venus and Mercury are going to creep up on that conversation. So this is where I'm going with this. I think Libra, going into your ocean body, going into your emotional body, going back to that deep inner knowing will give you an opportunity to feel balance, to understand that, something, I may tend to want to worry because other people tell me I should worry about this, and this. I have a strong connection to my inner being. I have a strong connection to Spirit. And in that connection, I can allow my trust to go there versus down in this human experience, because Astera says to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. And today the Baird is really sort of coming to me about telling a new story, starting to talk a new story. Whatever we focus on, we manifest. I tell my clients all the time, worry is a form of prayer that doesn't serve you. It puts your intention and your attention in the very experience you don't want to have. So as you shift your focus into, okay, I get it, I could worry, but now I'm going to start to trust my emotional body. You know what? I think I'm okay. And Spirit, show me, give me evidence I'm okay. As I'm going to start telling the story that everything's working out for me. Everything's always working out for me, because Celeste offers not just a new job or a new place of employment. A new home or a new place of employment. It's a shift in the way I'm thinking. And there's the Risk card. And what I want to offer is, I think that Libra is actually protected, that as you see yourself worry, and then you're like, you know what, that's a habit I have. It's a habit. It's a human imprint. And the landscape of the world right now is all about worry, all about fear. Everywhere we go, there's a 2.0 version of why we should be scared. And the pharmaceutical commercials don't say if you're going to get something, they say when. So there's this subliminal message that the rug is going to get pulled. So now you get to know you're safe. You get to know Xana's protecting you and protecting your earthly experience, protecting your Venusian body. And I want to offer it this way because while Libra is primarily considered a relationship sign, and we don't really associate our family history with that house, it is still in play. Venus isn't just going to rule our family history in Taurus, although that will be the primary energy. She will bring hues and shades of that into her partnership sign. So as you come into partnership with the deeper inner knowing, and you recognize that worry is a form of prayer that doesn't serve you, and you engage Spirit's help to calm your worry, and you risk and you bet on that dynamic, you will start to see evidence of your protection, evidence of Spirit showing you that you're okay. All right. And when I say okay, I mean okay in the physical world. There's going to be a lot of concern about material resources coming up. We're going to see that as Venus and Mercury creep towards Pluto. All right. Our final sign, Scorpio. We have the Three of Cups. This is a card of celebration. It's also a card of wisdom because this represents the three phases of the female energy: the innocent, the mature or maternal, and then the seasoned professional, the crone, the child, the mother, the grandmother. Here we get an opportunity to really implement the wisdom of where we've been. So let's look and see where Scorpio can do that, because I want to, in many ways, when I look at this and I see all the harvest that is beneath them and the celebration, the cups feeling full and high, there is wisdom through the wound. There is a sense of accomplishment. There's a sense of feeling good about myself. So let's see, Scorpio. Our first angel is Archangel Michael. The second is Bethany. The third is Vanessa. And the final is Yvonne. The South Node's been going through your sign for a long time, could very much make you feel nervous that everything is slipping away. And yet sometimes, pardon me, I have to take a sip. Sometimes when things feel like they're slipping away, you're making a vibrational change. And in doing so, you're no longer aligned to all other things. And so the South Node is asking you to be egoless as that leaves, and there's new energies that are replacing it. Pardon me, I felt like I had lipstick on my teeth. Archangel Michael is being joined by Merlin. Bethany's being joined by Protection. Vanessa's being joined by the King. And the Stag is joining Yvonne. Okay. Archangel Michael asks you to have the courage to make your divine life changes, the things that you want. And the South Node transiting through your sign is going to encourage you to be receptive to the idea that if something goes away, there's something much better in its place. And that much better may not be something that you can actually see, but rather something that you will first feel in your intuitive body. And I do think that many of Scorpio is going to celebrate their own conscious evolution on this planet, regardless of their age, and start to embrace the Plutonian aspects of that part of you that understands your own psychology. And rather than being tanked by it, you start to rise up and alchemize it and bring more bounty into your life. This is the card of self-care, and there's the protection card. And I think this is where Spirit is saying you are being protected and not to worry about you, because it's time to have faith in the system. And when I say faith in the system, I mean in justice, in things that are fair, that are karmically fair. And it isn't about you implementing the justice, but rather turning away from it, realizing that there's the potential, you've done all you can do, and now it's time to celebrate something else. Move away from it. because here, Yvonne represents again vulnerability, and then we see leadership. And I think sometimes one of the biggest things that the human is afraid of is to trust the inner knowing that says, I don't need to put any attention on this right now. I don't need to try to fix this. I don't need to try to reconcile this. I don't need to even understand this. I just get to move into the solution and how it feels. I get to celebrate, this is good. Michelle, thank you so much. I really appreciate your guys when you do things like that for me. It makes me feel so loved and valued. So this is where I'm going. Scorpio, I think that there's an opportunity here for you to have courage in understanding that some justices are not dispensed by you, but the universe will take care of that. That as you turn away from a problem, and maybe even turning away from trying to find the solution to a problem, but just kind of go into there's nothing I can do about this right now. It is what it is. And so rather than fretting about it, worrying about it, I'm going to celebrate the holidays and enjoy myself. And as I do that, Spirit will inspire me into the next action. And it may seem foolhardy to others that I behave that way, but I, as a Scorpio, know better. I know that I represent the deep psychological platform with which manifestation is created, which is why I rule billionaires. And so while I may be sitting in a place of unknowing right now, and in some ways having to have the courage to trust the process of alchemy, to trust the process that isn't quite in my hands right now, but rather in the hands of Spirit, I will know bounty. I will know that my vulnerability in the unknown was well spent, and I'll be able to stand in leadership for myself and for others. Okay, well, that rounds out our broadcast today. Again, you guys, I'll be back on January 8th, 3 weeks from today. I'm going to take a couple weeks off. Small needs some time off. I hope she will play and have fun and giggle and laugh and eat good food, drink good beverages, and enjoy the season's greetings. And for all of you, I just appreciate you so much for you coming every week, for being here, for watching the videos, for participating, for being supportive to your tribe members, and always being a loving energy. I just cannot tell you how honored I am to sit here and to be here and to support you in your journey. So thank you so much. Everybody check out, I'll be producing videos. I'll be here doing your weekly. It just won't be live again until January 8th. So everybody have a wonderful, safe holiday. Trust your inner knowing. That's what I was going to say. Listen to the little voice inside, because if it's telling you to relax and have a good time, please do so. We deserve it. All right, everybody. Peace out. See you next time. See you on the flip side of 2022.